Hello everybody. Welcome to my second ever tutorial. In this video I will be guiding you on my way of porting SFM maps to S2FM. Now I will be honest, I'm not fully an expert on it and there are some issues, but I can at least help you get the map over to S2FM and have it texture and so on. However, I'll talk about the issues in the end, and in the comments you can help give tips too, and perhaps in the future I could do a better map porting tutorial. Also, if you need to, then check out my first tutorial, which I'll leave its link in the description, but in that video I do explain more about the model doc and material editor. Anyway, let's carry on with the tutorial. Now first thing first, we need to port the actual map to Source 2 FilmMaker. So we need to use a tool called BSP, which I'll leave its link in the description on where to get it. However, when you have it, then you will need to download a JavaScript from this site. Again, link in the description. Now the BSP should work, and this is how it should look like. So what you do here is you go to Files. You then select the map you want, which would be in either your Source FilmMaker user mode or Workshop files, depending on which map you want. You then select it and then decompile it. Then you should have a VMF file. With the VMF file you need to first use it in the Source 1 hammer. Yes, the Source 1 hammer. So head over to Steam and go to Source FilmMaker in your library. Select Play and select Launch SDK. This will pop in. Now on Applications select Hammer Editor and bam. Hammer will open. Now go to File and select the VMF on wherever you saved it to. On the bottom right, make sure to have it set to find the Valve map files aka the VMF to make it easier to find it. After this the map will appear like this. Now listen carefully, because the next part will be the most hardest part of the process. So pay close attention. Go to Files. Go down. Then Save As. Done. You have made your VMF map Source 2 friendly, so now it should load up in Source 2 hammer with no problem. So now just head over to Half-Life Alyx on Steam. Remember, you have to buy it first. Launch the tools for Half-Life Alyx. Then on this screen you will see a hammer icon on the top left next to the material editor. That is the Source 2 hammer editor. Select it and you will be greeted to this interface. Now just head to Files and Open, then find the VMF and open it. The whole map should appear now. However, upon closer inspection you may realize that there's no textures and there's errors everywhere, and that is because now we have to port the textures and models as well into Source 2. Note, if you have port a map to Source 2, then if the files have the same textures and models, then they will show up in the next map you do. Now for this part, I do actually find it annoying, not due to the actual process of the porting, but you have to install a bunch of commands to get it to work. But first I'll go through the simple part first. So firstly you need to download BSPInfo, which basically tells you all the models and materials used in a map. Link in the description to where to download it. So now with this, go to Dependables and then below go to Materials. Then go to File and select the BSP map that you got the VMF from. This will display all the materials in the map used except for the models, but don't worry about it now. What I do here is I believe I copy and paste the files to the Source 2 materials folder. But I think you have to arrange everything in the same way, so perhaps you can just save it on a file in your downloads or document with all the textures arranged in the order you see them on the BSPInfo. However, again, I believe I just copy and paste the folders into the actual folders into the Source 2 files. Now I believe I also used Fedit and convert the folders into PNGs, though I'm not sure if it is better to use TGAs, but I believe you have to convert the folders or at least cover them as well, and I guess it also helps to let you change your texture if you need to. Anyway, now for the models you do the exact same thing as the materials, but with the Material tab on BSPInfo. Also, you may also wanna do the same thing for the model materials as well, which most likely will be under the name of the person who created the models in the Model tab inside the Material tab in the Source 1 FilmMaker files. Hope that wasn't confusing. Anyway, here was the most frustrating part for me and the first time I did this. Now you need to install Source 2 Utils Master, which just like everything else the link is in the description again. Now you need the command prompt, but don't use the one where you have to search for it. Instead go to the Source 2 Master Utils file and go install the utils file. On the bar type cmd like this and this will show up. Now you need to download Python 2.7 or higher I believe, and you need to download PIL and Pillow, and I believe that's all. I'll show links to how to install them, but yeah, after you install this it's not so bad. However, for me when I was learning about these it was driving me insane. Anyway, now on the command prompt type vmt pi, then you should get something like this, so then copy and paste the path to the files you want the textures to be copied from. Then you get 3 questions, so the answers are yes, no, then VR complex, and then press enter, and your materials should have a source 2 imported folder with mats IDK if it always goes in the Half-Life Alyx HLVR add-ins file, or if it's only when you have the folders in the source 2 file.
Now for the models. So the process is the same, however in the command prompt this time type in Python mdl_to_vmdl.py. Make sure you have the models in your add-in and under a chain that begins with the folder called models after your add-in. Now you copy the path to the models you want to convert inside your add-ons folder and then just enter and it's done. Now you may have a imported folder outside your add-ons folder with the word imported in it. What I do is I take the textures and models out of there and just drag it into my materials and models folder in my add-in, and that will hopefully import your models in it. Now there can be issues if the models and textures have spaces in their name, which I was unlucky with.
Now in my room you can all see all the textures are white, however I am not sure if it's because I use PNGs instead of TGA, but now this means I have to apply all the textures manually into the material editor. Now I discussed how to use this, but I was experiencing some issues converting the blank textures into, well, textures. So I think it's better to make separate textures for the models. However, for the wall textures, if their names are suitable for S2FM, then you can add the textures on them instead of making new textures and then applying it onto the map. Far easier as well. Now I explained how to use the material editor, but let me show you how to make a transparent image, which I did for the leaves for this tree.
So first add the texture in. To do this you go to the top left, click on this plus icon. Then on the side select this folder icon right here and add the texture. Make sure it's inside your materials file. Now when the texture is added, go to the top and change shader to VR_complex. You get more options, tick translucent, and now just apply opacity map to here. The opacity map will just be a white and black version of your texture, and the more whiter bits will be solid and the more darker parts would be more see-through. Now as my lighter parts are all the way light and darker parts are all the way dark, then this texture won't let you see through the leaf and you won't see any part of the black border either, allowing this image to look like an ordinary leaf. Now save it and you have a see-through texture. Just a fun little side note.
Now back to Hammer. You should see your map kind of looking like this with the textures being small and all the assets having a red grid texture like this. So now you have to change the size of the textures on the faces of mesh. So on the top you select the face icon. On the left this pop-up will appear letting you change the face scale and location, meaning you can shift the texture to match with the walls around it. Now you can either adjust the number on these or use these buttons, get a better idea on the size. The icons with the red arrows scale the x-axis and the green arrows scale the y-axis. Same applies to the shift buttons. Now generally you want the sizes to be something like this, or bigger or smaller depending what you are texturing. So far I know this annoying way of manually changing all the sizes, but if you know a easier way then please leave it down in the comments. After the map walls are done, it's time to adjust the assets. Now you can't simply load them up like normal in the content browser, so you must go to the model doc. Then you go to File and Import, and then Import and choose the Import and Convert Old VMDL. Now select the model you want to do, which I started with the bed. Choose Import in Place. It will give you another window, so select Yes. OK. Now your model is in the model DOF and you can apply the textures on. Firstly, apply the default material groups and apply the textures on. Now keep applying all the materials and you will eventually have your map fully done. Make sure to check the map and the regular SFM to see if you have made it accurate to it. If of course that's what you were trying to do. However, beware there may be some issues you will find when importing the map to S2FM. So you will see this icon on TNE top. Click it and then you will have some options. It depends which one you want to use. For example, if you have lights then a full compile would add those in, but for a test then quick is good enough. When building up the map you will then be able to plane it like this, and well, the red shows errors will send up an S2FM. Hopefully this won't happen to you, but due to the way the textures were named I had to sort these issues out and I had to clip my viewport everywhere just to select the sides. I missed out and replaced the textures with a new map that uses the same texture but named with no spaces or caps this time. However, in the end the map is finally finished and ready to animate in. Now here's the issue I have. Unlike the regular SFM, I can't use assets and recording just brings you into this playable Half-Life Alex thing, but if you close out it closes the Alex tools down. Now I know you can set the class for the props to let them be movable or have doors open like doors, but I can't get it to work like that. Hopefully it's just my lack of knowledge and not impossible. However, if you do know how to solve this then please do leave a comment behind. Now the way I'm planning to solve this is to set all the props invisible and then replacing them with the same models so that I can move them for if I ever need to use the props. To summarize everything in case if I did lose you at any point in the video. You need to download BSPSource and need a JavaScript for it. Then you use it to find the BSP map you want to copy and convert to a map. Then you open source 1 hammer and open the map on there and just save the map. Now you can open the map in source to hammer 2. Next you download BSPInfo and download a Python script for it. Find the list of materials and models AMD, copy and paste the files into your source 2 add-ins folder. Next you need VTF edit and convert all the images into TGAs I believe and have them in the add-ins folder. Download source 2 master utils. Now download PIL and Pillow and make sure to have Python 2.7 or higher when doing this, and use the CMD in the files to convert your models and materials. Now fix the textures by scaling and shifting them in your map and give all the props their textures. Check for errors and then build the map and done. That is it for the video. I know it's not the best, mainly since the processes confuse me, as well as not able to get them out to properly work like the regular SFM maps doesn't help. However, I do hope it was still enough help importing your maps to S2FM. If this tutorial was any help to you then please leave a like, and if you have any questions then leave a comment and I'll try my best to help if I can, and do leave any tips behind and I will set them to the top of the comments. Also, if you do like my regular content which is song animations as well, then please subscribe to my channel for more future content from me, as it does help out the channel. If you also want to import character or prop models to source to, then check my first tutorial video. Have a good day everyone.